What's going on, everyone? So many of you know I am big on the Zach Lavine trade. I know that there are definitely concerns, obviously health. I know last year he only played 25 games. I dropped a 50 piece in those 25 games, just saying. But he was also expected to finish the season till the Detroit rumor started, and then he was like, I'm not going to Detroit, and all of a sudden he needed surgery. So there's that. You look at the previous years, played 77 games, 67 games, right? So as long as he could play around like 65 games, I'm good, right? There's a reason the NBA made 65 games the threshold for achievements and accolades and stuff, right? It's because that's basically the average for players nowadays, right? The days of the 82 games stuff. Saw a stat yesterday that Kobe was the last guy to win MVP and play all 82 games, right? Like it's not the norm anymore unless you're Mikal Bridges or Austin Reeves, right? Like it's basically it. And so with Zach Lavine, obviously the health concerns, yes, it's a concern, but so is like pretty much every star in the league, whoever you get. Contract wise, obviously there's some concerns about the contract, future flexibility, but he lines up with LeBron and AD. And if you're going to go make a move like that, you're banking on that working, right? Problem is, if it doesn't work, I get like the concern is like you're not going to really be able to move off of him. But what else are you going to do that's going to raise the bar to the level in which Zach Lavine will raise the bar, right? That's my biggest thing, is that I just think out of Jeremy Grant and Cam Johnson and all these other guys, I think Zach Lavine just raises the bar the highest for potentially winning an NBA championship, right? And you just look at the Olympics and what LeBron James and Anthony Davis were able to do alongside other scorers, right? I just feel like it'd be a match made in heaven. He's one of the best off-ball shooters in the league. He's one of the best scorers when he's cooking and on. I mean, the dude is an absolute bucket getter, right? Defensively, he's not as bad as people make him out to be. He can kind of get disinterested, but how much of that is like just the toxicity going on in Chicago? Also, if he doesn't have as much of a responsibility, right? Can you kind of pick it up on that end? Obviously, I'm not expecting him to average 25 or 30 a game on the Lakers because he'd be the third option, but just that consistency and the level of explosiveness and scoring, the athleticism out on the perimeter, all of those things I think are very important. Again, the contract, yes, I understand, but you'd still have flexibility to do other things and make other moves, right? Like, yes, you'd unload probably Gabe Vincent, D'Angelo Russell, and Rui Hachimura to go get him, but you'd still have, again, flexibility. You still have all your picks. You go get a center. You go get other things that you may potentially need. You could be patient, wait till the trade deadline. I just think you have more options. And with the cap rising every year, beginning next season, not this season, with the new TV deal, his contract will be a lot more manageable as it progresses. So I think all across the board, it would make a lot of sense. I think he'd be an easy plug and play for the Lakers. We know he wants to play with LeBron and AD. He said it publicly in an interview at an All-Star game, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like when he was with Chicago, right? Well, more and more people are starting to come around to the idea because Zach Lavine has been posting videos of just how explosive he looks, right? So he posted this video where you see he's clearly he's explosive still, right? He also posted another video in July, I believe it was, that I shared on this channel. That was kind of in the beginning stages of where I was like, man, Zach Lavine kind of makes a lot of sense. And now people are seeing just how explosive he is and how good he looks and the way he's moving and stuff with various videos and just workouts and stuff that he's posting. And a lot more people are like, hey, Zach Lavine looks kind of nice. But I think he just makes the most sense, right? I don't mind the Lakers being patient. I don't mind the Lakers waiting and riding it out, right? Like there's not like a rush. Zach Lavine isn't going anywhere, right? If somebody else gets him, so be it. But I just don't think anyone else is going to go make that play. And so for me, it's like, wait and see what happens. Maybe something does become better. And if you could get other people, like I think 1-for-1, Zach Lavine raises the ceiling the most. And what I mean by that is like, if it's Zach Lavine or like Jeremy Grant, I'd rather have Zach Lavine. If it's like Zach Lavine or Cam Johnson, I'd rather have Zach Lavine, right? If it's 1-for-1 comparison, I'd rather have Zach Lavine. I just think Zach Lavine has the biggest just ceiling raiser. I think he makes the biggest impact. And again, you only have to give up one more player. You'd still give up 3 players for Jeremy Grant because you still have to do Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, and Cam Reddish, or, a vet minimum guy, where instead of a vet minimum guy, you're just giving up D'Lo in that regard, which I like D'Lo. I want to keep D'Lo, right? But I understand like the thought process, like, hey, you got to give up and match the salary, right? But if the Lakers can get multiple guys, then yes, I think depending obviously on those guys, I think that is a higher ceiling raiser, right? So like if you can get Jeremy Grant and a Bruce Brown, right, then I think that is better than just Zach Lavine, right? Or if you could get, Cam Johnson and a Bruce Brown, or Cam Johnson and a Wendell Carter Jr., something like that. Like if you can get multiple pieces, I think that will be greater, again, depending on those pieces, than Zach Lavine by himself, potentially, right? Zach Lavine, the idea of Zach Lavine is kind of perfect in a lot of ways. Solves your athleticism out on the perimeter, solves your consistent third guy, solves your scoring, over-the-top shooting, three-point shooting, rim pressure, right? List goes on the things that Zach Lavine by himself solves. But I just think if you can get a legit 3-and-D wing, right, and upgrade that position, plus upgrade either your point of attack defense at the guard position or your center position, then I just think collectively that would make a big or as big of an impact as Zach Lavine does. Depending on what the prices end up coming down to, you may be able to still maintain flexibility, right? I do like the idea because I do think, like, say you get Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown, right? If things don't work out one way or another, or say LeBron wants to leave or whatever, I think you can actually get something for like a Cam Johnson. I think you get something for like a Bruce Brown. I think you get something for like a Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant might be a little tougher, but I do think there's some teams for, a reasonable price might jump on him. Where Zach Lavine, I think you're stuck with, right? Like if LeBron leaves next season, right, whether he retires or whatever, right, I just think that's it. You're stuck. But if LeBron sticks it out and rides it out, which I believe he would if the Lakers are good, which I do believe with Zach Lavine, guess what? The Lakers would be good. I just think that is just such a significant ceiling raiser for them. So it's why I'm so like, gotta get Zach Lavine, gotta get Zach Lavine, gotta get Zach Lavine. If I'm being honest, I don't think the Lakers will do it, right? Maybe at the trade deadline if things kind of get a little desperate and it's like, we might need to get something done. I think the Lakers will remain patient. I think the Lakers will keep kind of going through the motions, so to speak, until something better comes along or something that they deem to be like more reasonable comes along. Like again, Jeremy Grant's asking price goes down or Cam Johnson's asking price goes down, like something like that. Whether that's before training camp, whether that's the trade deadline, whether that's in December 15th or January 15th, or, when other guys can potentially come available. But I look at Zach Lavine and I'm just like, man, you could get Zach Lavine and then some, right? I've talked heavily about like get Zach Lavine and then go get Walker Kessler. You solved your center issue for now and the future. You get a legit athlete, bucket getter, point of attack, all of that at the guard position. Is he overpaid? Yeah, sure. But that's why he's available and why you don't have to give up anything, right? Like, again, it's risk reward, but it's also the cost, right? Like I see a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't want this guy, or don't want that guy, or, I don't want that. Like, why are we getting this? We should be getting a guy like that. And it's like, well, one, is that guy available? And two, again, what is the cost? I would love OG Anunoby over all these guys, but realistically, he's not available. And even if he was available, his cost would be a ton, right? Like, so it's about what is truly available for one, and two, at a cost that the Lakers actually have that is reasonable, right? Because the Lakers are limited on assets. They do have some. I do think they can absolutely get a deal or two done, right? But they're not the Thunder where they have like a bunch of young talent that people want and, a couple hundred draft picks that they could just trade and unload and everything's great, right? Like, I have my questions about, what can the Lakers really acquire that is the real ceiling raiser, right? It's always been this right? DeMar DeRozan and Klay Thompson and Jeremy Grant, and we need multiple pieces. The only deal that I think, personally, again, these are just my thoughts, the only deal that I think personally, by itself, that has enough of an increase to the roster to put us back into that contention status, or potentially put us back in that contention status, is Zach Lavine, right? I think Jeremy Grant makes us better, but I don't think it makes us significantly better, right? I think, same thing with Cam Johnson, same thing with any of these guys. Now, again, if you get multiple guys, then yes, I think if you get, Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown, yes, now that was the ceiling raiser. But I think Zach Lavine, right, if let's say, Jeremy Grant takes us from here to like here, right? I think Zach Lavine takes us from here to like here, right? Say the ceiling's here, right? I think we just cover so much more ground than with like a Jeremy Grant who would be here, right? I just think the bar is higher with Zach Lavine because he's so dynamic. And because he can score the basketball and he has that athleticism and he can take pressure off of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and he can get hot and he can go off for 50 on any given night. Again, the guy played 25 games last year and still gave you a 50 piece. Right? The guy is very capable of just going and getting you whatever you need. And the attention that LeBron James and Anthony Davis draws, I mean, Zach Lavine would never, he'd never have an easier time than he would have playing alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Right? Like he's 90% of what the Lakers need, right? So I like the idea. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you somewhere between? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me not. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.